How did you find your first client? Do you remember?
I did kind of have a web design client that was like a friend of a family member.
Do you have a way of expanding your network?
Now I have a really amazing team. They're very skilled, very capable.
Going back again, you were a freelancer, you had friends, you had a good network.
We may at a high level cover strategy, web, SEO, branding, advertising, etc.
Hello everyone, welcome one more day to the video podcast where we talk to founders, successful founders. In this case, I have Jon here from Jolt Digital. And we're going to talk about what they do and how they manage to grow to the level they are in today. So, Jon, thank you for coming. Welcome. I'm going to leave the stage for you to introduce who you are and also your team. And I want to know exactly how you started because you told me that it's in the name, right? You didn't really plan to go into an agency level until it became a thing because you were getting many clients.
Hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Podcasts are my common thing, so it's nice to be invited. So thank you, Eduardo. But
Pleasure.
I'm John. I'm the founder and managing director of an agency called Jolt Digital, based in London, but working with clients around the world. And as a quick overview of our backstory, I have always had a passion for all things kind of tech and creative, and from a pretty young age in my teenage years I was fiddling around trying to start little businesses, little side hustles, even at school and stuff on the playground. But when I was kind of in my mid-teens, I was getting into sort of design and things like that, and started doing a bit of freelancing, doing photography as well, and those sorts of things, and fell into doing some marketing. Worked with a whole different things. I did a lot of work in music, kind of record labels or artists, and then I also worked in kind of corporate events and technology for events. And I worked on campaigns, animations for Adidas for the World Cup, and a whole bunch of things over my time. So as I kind of learned new things, I took on new projects, met new people, had new opportunities. And, I didn't really start off in marketing. I started off in the creative side. And after a while of putting a lot of time and effort into work, not saying that my work is the best in the world, but, it took time and effort, but it was frustrating sometimes that all this work would be done, but no one would really see it, or you don't feel like it's making the impact it could. And then I realized, well, yeah, the solution to that problem is marketing, right? And it's since figuring out how do you find people who are interested in what you're doing, what you're offering, what you're selling, and how do you get in front of them? How do you show them and kind of tell your story? So yeah, I kind of went more into marketing and ended up picking up, programming, web development, and started. I mean, I went to university and finished in 2015, and I thought I was freelancing while I was at university, but when I finished, I thought I'll try and go kind of full-time freelance now, see if I can make this work. And I was very poor for a while, and and also just going a bit crazy, like working from home before it was kind of the common thing that we're all doing these days, and I didn't like being locked inside all day every day, just trying to carry on, but eventually got into a co-working space and made some great connections there, and worked with a bunch of people there, and things just then started to grow organically, really. And it got to a point where I was pretty busy and I was using freelancers and so on to help deliver the projects that I was working on. And then COVID came along. Actually, a lot of people had a really hard time in COVID, but in terms of business, but for my side of things, it actually was quite useful, it was quite a good time in
Everyone
terms of how
was
much business.
everyone was going online, right? So they needed services that you could offer.
Yeah. So
Right.
we had existing clients who, for example, worked in, events, and obviously their business dried up. So they had to kind of pivot and create something new as a new revenue stream to survive. We had new clients come to us. Some of them were getting kind of grants from the government to support them, so on and so forth. So there was a real lot of stuff, and we just got busier and busier, really. And
Let me
so
ask
at that
you,
point,
sorry, John, let me ask you a question because we're
sorry,
going
yeah.
like you've already been successful by then. Let me go back a little bit. When you were starting as a freelancer, when you realized that, hey, I need some marketing here to promote who I am and what I'm doing, how did you find your first client? Do you remember?
Good question. I think it was actually really far back in the day. I used to do some IT stuff, so that wasn't really the kind of things I do now. But like people were like, "Hey, you're good with computers. Can you fix my desktop PC or whatever?" And so I did some of that. So that was kind of people I knew. And then I did kind of have a web design client that was like a friend of a family member, and that sort of thing. So it's mostly really always been through my network, and I think generally, it's not really for me to say, but I think I'm a pretty nice person. I tend to kind of make relationships with people quite easily, so it's normally kind of coming around organically from that, and that's kind of been the story of it, really. Yeah.
So every time you meet someone, you never have the goal of this. I'm saying this because I had I guess a week ago, I think, and he was talking about something similar, how important it was for him to meet people through networking, but never had the goal to sell anything while he was meeting people. So it sounds like you follow the same strategy. You
Mm.
just expose yourself and you try to meet people. Do you have
Mm.
like a way of expanding your network at the moment, or what? How do you do it?
Um, Yeah, I mean, so we're in a phase now of growth, and up until sort of the beginning of 2025, I was very much in the weeds of the company delivering the projects for the clients. But now I have a really amazing team. They're very skilled, very capable, and they are, running the show for the most part on projects day to day. So it's allowing me more time and energy to focus on the business itself and growth. And so a lot of that is, yes, going out there, meeting people, even also reconnecting with kind of old contacts, old clients, seeing how they're doing, sitting down for lunch, maybe go for a beer, whatever it is, and then also, also saying, hey, look, do you know anyone that might be interested in working with us? And asking that question. It can feel a little bit awkward or disingenuous sometimes, but it's also just, I think it helps kind of people keep you in mind when they go out there and they speak to their network and so on.
So actually actively asking for help. I mean, saying, hey, look, I'm open for work or I have extra capacity. Do you know anyone? Yeah, I feel like many people forget that sometimes asking for help actually helps. Because as you said, when people think of, oh, I know this guy because he actually reminded me he needs the help. That's
Mm.
interesting. So okay, going back again, you were a freelancer, you had friends, you had a good network. They knew you and you started getting some clients. Never through paid advertisement, never through platforms, always organic.
At that time,
I'm sorry.
pretty much, yeah, at that time, pretty much just organic, really. And yeah, and I think, as I said, it kind of my mantra or like the PC like radio friendly version of it is like be a nice person and do good work. And I think that is half the battle in terms of meeting people and getting opportunities. But yeah, didn't really do any advertising or anything at that point. Maybe bits of SEO here and there, but yeah, and then we at that point, just carrying on, yeah, from COVID, got so busy, and I thought, right, well, now I guess I need to become a real company and do VAT registration and all that fun stuff. So that at that point, that was it. And touch wood, I haven't really had to look back or anything since.
Amazing. So when it came to COVID, you expanded the team. You mentioned to me you are 6 people at the moment in the company, and you
Yeah.
with a few freelancers as well to help support with the client work.
Hmm.
When did you like? Sometimes hiring people it's a tricky move because you need to have sustained growth. Obviously, you have to pay salaries. What's the current status of the company when it comes to marketing? What are you doing to ensure you still get a constant amount of work, taking into account, and this is something we'll discuss later, the era we live in with AI, things moving so fast, people wanting more for less. What are you currently doing? What's the marketing strategy of the company to ensure there is a continuous pipeline of leads coming in?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, all of that is the foundation of your marketing strategy and lead generation, and your lead pipeline is based in processes. So a big part of what we're doing is really trying to nail down our processes of, how we run our marketing, how we reach out to people, whatever. So we're kind of really solidifying that foundation right now. But we underwent a rebrand, not a change of name, but just a kind of growing up rebrand in the beginning of this year, and that's been I think a big help. And we are, also working on a few little projects behind the scenes to get us out there. And it's a couple of different strategies to it. So we're we're working on expanding the content on our website for various reasons. We want to showcase that yes, we may at a high level cover strategy where SEO, branding, advertising, etc., and creative. But sometimes people are looking for more specific things. So, for example, we do a lot of work with WordPress websites, so we're really kind of specialists in that area. So it's just showcasing that we're specialists in those, or we've done a lot of work in, say, the construction industry or hospitality, and again, just building pages that are really tailored to each kind of audience that we're trying to cater to. So that's kind of the sort of inbound strategy, and then in terms of outbound, we're looking into kind of scaling some outreach for sure, and it's something that I never really ha had much time to deal with before, so it is identifying certain companies and people that we might want to work with. How do we reach out to them? How do we engage them? How do we kind of set up some conversations? Because yeah, generally, I think once we speak to people, then they're quite keen to work with us, which is always reassuring.
Amazing. All right, so we've got a few things here. Let's focus on the SEO part first.
Hmm.
Um, because it sounds like the area where you put the most effort at the moment, right? So you talked about creating specific landing pages tailored to your niche, which in this case would be WordPress related. What is the current strategy? Are you just simply creating content? How do you create the content? How do you structure the website so that Google is able to understand your topical authority? Do you have a continuous amount of going out? Do you do backlinks? What's the current
Hmm.
situation with that?
Yeah, so since the kind of rebrand and stuff, we haven't put tons of time into those kind of SEO strategies, but it's something we're building out more and more. I mean, I think what's important is that you have, first of all, just a page, a piece of content that is super relevant to a keyword or theme, topic theme, keyword cluster that you're trying to generate traffic from. So we're building out those service pages, but there is always a balance to be struck between how much content you want to put on a service page and what's good for SEO, in terms of the volume of content. And so, it may be still that we have a kind of service page which provides an overview, a few paragraphs, but you don't want to fill it with walls of text. So we're going to supplement that with additional blogs and strategy around that especially as well, bearing in mind everything to do with generative engine optimization and that sort of thing with AI tools. It's also about what questions do people ask, Google or ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever about WordPress development and hiring a WordPress development agency. What questions do people want to ask, and where can we solve those? And perhaps that will be factored into our kind of content and blog strategy. We're putting out specifically answering more in-depth questions and showcasing our expertise as well. So it kind of uh, two birds with one stone situation.
Right. So you train to answer questions mostly on landing pages as well,
Mhm.
making sure that you are able to catch the attention of AI tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, so that people, if they're looking for a solution like yours, your website can pop up. Have you changed the strategy since the ChatGPT, Perplexity tools came about?
Um, a little bit, and as I said, I think that's a big part of it is making sure that you are answering questions, as we talked about, because the types of prompts people put into those platforms is different to what people put into Google, right? So
Hmm.
it's trying to tailor things to that a little bit. But ultimately, optimizing for those large language models is founded, in good SEO practices. And so, we always ensure that we have a strong basis of good SEO practices. Obviously you have to ensure that your technical SEO is on point, your performance is good, and everything that goes with that, but also that you're being providing useful content, showcasing your authority, that sort of thing.
Are you also creating content for your articles, for your blog articles, for your blog section regularly?
hmm Yeah, so we are working on that, and again, it's a little bit of a process things because we have as I said, a very skilled and knowledgeable team, but people are also busy. So it's like they say, like dentist teeth or whatever. It's not always the top of the priority when you've got clients asking for things tomorrow or whatever. But
Mm.
yeah, we're just trying to balance the responsibility of writing content across the website and. Yeah, we might use, ChatGPT or other platforms for a little help here and there, especially with kind of idea generation or rough drafts. But we want to ensure that we are sort of conveying our human element and we are writing our content in our own voice and it's authentic from us. So it does require time, minimal distractions to work on genuinely good content to put out there.
Nice. How much of AI do you use to write the articles? This is a question that I got very mixed responses. I don't know how honest they are.
Yeah.
Uh, I can go first if it makes you feel better. I use a lot of AI to generate content because
Mm,
I it's not that I rely on AI to generate the content. I
mm,
put my thoughts into it, but I use ChatGPT to help me structure it in a more efficient way, right? I don't think that relying deeply into on ChatGPT is the strategy to go with because
mm,
then you're going to have all these penalties that are coming from Google. Obviously, why would they rank you if the content you are publishing is already on the internet, right? Because LLM
mm,
models are being fed from the internet. So yeah, that's my strategy. I use a lot of AI to write it, but not to think about it. I just want to make sure that we are, relaxed. Nothing
yeah.
happens. People use AI. I feel like it's we are going into a future where AI is going to be part of our breakfast.
Mm,
So it's how you use it, not like what you do. It's what you do with it, and not how often you use it, in my opinion. But I'm interested in hearing your opinion, your thoughts. How are you applying it for your company? How are you using it for your clients?
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point. And it kind of sounds like similar to how I look at it, is that kind of using ChatGPT as an editor or like a sounding board that you can kind of bounce ideas off. And I think that's quite good. I think what it's really good for, especially for like written content and things like that, is the kind of writer's block element, in not necessarily the extreme writer's block, but when you have a blank page, a Google Doc or whatever it is in front of you, like, right, where do I start? And I think it's
Mm,
really good for that to give it a simple prompt to start with. It's like, hey, I'm going to write something about this. Maybe give some starting points for me to think about including in here. And most of them I probably would have come up with eventually. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but most of them are pretty standard. They're not nothing revolutionary or new really. But it might mention something that I might have forgotten to add. So I think for things like that, it's good, and it's the same as asking someone senior on your team, hey, give me some ideas what I should include in that. So I quite like that side of things. And then I think, as you also said, kind of to maybe finish it off, and maybe you've got like a rough draft, maybe you've got the points you want to make, but you want to tweak the language and things like that. I think it can be really useful for that. But I think you still have to be very much in the driver's seat and not just trying to press a button, printing out content, and then publishing it on your site. I think that's not giving value to anyone at any point.
absolutely. What did you do with clients? How do you ensure that? Because most of the clients that I work with, they're like, let's use AI, right? And you have to explain, share your opinion on how dangerous relying on AI can be. How do you make so? What's your main how to put it? What's the main thing you want to get from your clients in order to improve their SEO. And because they need to be, I feel like they need to be part of the strategy, right? They are, at the end of the day, the subject matter experts.
Mm.
And when you have that, like how do you get them involved? Like, and in which part of the process you get them involved?
We try to involve them pretty much throughout, and we are really focused on close collaboration with our clients and having those good working relationships with them. Some clients really keen and happy for us to take the lead and just run with things, and that's fine if they specify that. But we do try to involve them at every step of the way, and at least give them an opportunity to be a part of things before we kind of move forward. So you know, one of the most important things I think for any sort of SEO strategy is the very beginning and building the strategy and doing your research on the market and your keyword research. So especially if you are not super familiar with them, I spent a lot of time working in with like biotech companies and things like that. And there's a lot of industry terminology, there's a lot of science involved, and it's not I quite like science, and if I went to a class, I could probably pick up bits of it in relation to this, but I'm not going to learn it on the fly. So it was quite a lot of time and effort into going and understanding the services that these companies offer, which keywords relate to them and which ones don't, and where there's potentially ambiguous intent of keywords. For example, you know, someone might search for manufacturing versus manufacturer, those sorts of things. So it's working out where to prioritize them. But I would always seek input from the clients and subject matter experts to provide guidance on that, because I think it's really important to know that you're targeting the right keywords, obviously, and you're capturing the right interest. So I think that's a huge part of it. And then I think one of the other challenges a lot of the time in SEO, and it really is an educational thing, is when you're creating content that you're trying to tailor towards certain keyword clusters or something, and you want to include these keywords in key areas like your title and your meta description and your H1, etc. Sometimes people aren't on board with that. They don't like the structure it's in, or they don't like the way that the language is used in those headings. And these days you don't have to just repeat the same keyword everywhere. Like Google understands contextual relevance of related terms and synonyms, etc. But I think there's always kind of collaboration needed around that part to make sure everyone's happy and that it meets the strategy needs for SEO, but it also meets the client's needs for their sort of messaging and positioning in the market. So I think those are the kind of two main areas. I think it's content production and the strategy to start with. I think those are the two main things.
Amazing. Okay, so you do get them involved in many steps of the process. Great. I'm going to switch to another topic now. So you mentioned LinkedIn ads. Also, you might do Google ads in the future. Have you done LinkedIn ads so far? Yeah. And how
Yeah,
do they
we've
go?
done a lot.
Okay,
Sorry?
interesting. And how do they go?
Um, Generally okay. I think there's some challenges with LinkedIn ads in general. I think the platform is not very sophisticated. Sometimes that can be a good thing, but yeah, we definitely ran into some limitations with LinkedIn, I would say.
In what sense? Can you elaborate?
It has kind of it does have a range of different strategies you can use, but the kind of data it gives you can be quite limited sometimes, and also I think generally things like click-through rates are pretty low on LinkedIn
Hmm.
across the board. If your audience is pretty niche, then your audience size is small, the CPCs can be super high. Like they can be well, I mean, I know some industries are really high, but some of them can be north of sort of $25 or something like that. So pretty high. So, but I think creative is the most important thing across all these types of ads, and it's trying to nail the balance of a creative that stands out on the feed, but also doesn't feel too in your face and is somewhat native to LinkedIn in some way. And I think what we didn't have a lot of due to mostly sort of budget and time constraints was video content for advertising, and I think really improves engagement when we use that.
What would be your ideal ad for your company? Let's say you are sitting in a meeting room with your teammates and you're like, guys, we're gonna design a killing ad on LinkedIn. It's gonna work this time. We're gonna rock it. How would you design it? Down to the smallest detail. If you
That's good.
imagine you had all the budget that you need.
Yeah, for Jolt or for clients?
No, for you, for Jolt.
For us. Okay, so I think first of all, it starts off with really clearly defining which problem we're trying to solve and who we're solving that problem for with this ad, right? And it could be broad, it could be pretty general, like, hey, we're digital marketing, we solve you the fact that you need a digital marketing agency because you don't have those skills in-house or whatever. But I think just defining that, making that super clear for the whole team is super important to start with. And then once you know what problem you're trying to solve, then write you have to write the bones of how you communicate that you solve that problem, how you communicate that you understand the pain point of that audience of those people you're trying to reach. Once you have those, I think those are the essentials. And then from there, it would usually be a case of, I think if I was to do this now, I would probably say, let's do video. So we'll probably start with writing a script, at least the kind of the rough notes, storyboarding, different parts of the video, fleshing out a script, and then getting that produced. We have some very talented people in-house that handle video, but we also have worked with animators and kind of 3D artists and stuff in the past. So I think, yeah, we decide, okay, what are we going to do for this? Are we going to do 3D? Are we doing film? Are we doing animation, like motion graphics? Get the script, nail it down, any supporting copy needed.
What would be
I
the
think
video about?
the video, the video, I think just needs to expressly be about, first of all, the problem that you're solving, the pain point that the client has. So let's say it's an e-commerce client and or e-commerce company, and so are your conversion rates low on your website? Are you not getting many sales from your traffic? Um, then, we helped, maybe we include an example. So we say, we recently helped this company double their conversion rate on their website or something like that. This means this, and just trying to be really clear. I think too many companies out there and too many advertising and marketing campaigns overcomplicate things and they are not super clear and speaking directly to the audience about what value they deliver. So being super clear, we did this, it got them this, and this is why you should work with us. And then perhaps you need a little hook, like if you want to set up a free consultation or you want us to give you a free audit, feel free to get in touch. It would be something like that. And I think also the one thing I forgot to mention is I certainly would try and split test ads. So we would try and have two different concepts and start with those, produce those, run those. And then when we have a winner, then we can continue refining that. I think broadly, that's an overview.
Nice, I love it. So that's your ideal ad. Which is the ad that brought you the most success? How did you build it? What did it contain?
For Jolt, this is the interesting thing. It's more of a campaign than an ad, but we've had really good results for local based advertising, especially paid search. So I'm a big believer in first of all starting off with lower hanging fruit, and I think lower hanging fruit in this context is there, this is why we do SEO, this is why we do paid search, because there's already people out there looking for the things you provide. So go and get in front of them and show them what you're capable of or what you can offer. So paid search I think is super powerful, and so I think have been running local paid search, and I think
When you say
this is
local
the
paid
other.
search, sorry to interrupt you, is that Google Ads?
Yeah, mostly Google, little Bing here and there because it's actually pretty good as well in terms of ROI. But yes, I think, and it's because the amount of clients and inquiries that we get where they said, "Oh, I was looking for someone to help me with this project, and I saw that you guys are local, so I like to work with people that are local if we can." And we've worked with some really great people and some great projects on that. And don't forget about your local area because, I mean, what we do, we can do from anywhere. Well, for the most part. I mean, sometimes like photo or video shoots we do, you kind of have to be there. But yeah, for the most part, we can be anywhere. But there is a massive value to some people of working with people that are local that they can come and sit down with and have a coffee and talk about their plans. And just there's a lot of people who just want to meet face to face, and I think there is value in that. So I would say so much it's that. But really, as a company, we haven't done tons of marketing ourselves, and we haven't done tons of advertising ourselves because we haven't really need to since inception. We've been really, really busy, and yeah, it just hasn't been kind of top of the list to do.
That's
But
good. That's good. I mean, so you grow organically.
Mhm.
What are the current organic strategies? Do you continue relying on people's word of mouth? Also, obviously, I met you in a networking event as well. Do you also continue pushing that side? Is there any other area that you are focusing on? I don't know. Maybe could we consider email marketing organic? I don't know if you guys do that. What are the current organic strategies that you really focus on? The ones that you see like the main drivers.
mm Yeah, I think as I spoke about a little earlier, I think it's certainly kind of leveraging the network a little bit and getting, speaking to people, speaking to existing clients, and it may be that I'm on a regular kind of check-in call with a client. We cover what we need to, and then I might ask them at the end, hey, oh, by the way, I think we're thinking of offering this service, or we're we're offering some free audits or something. Do you know anyone that might be interested, or do you have any plans that might align with what we're doing as well? And I think that's good, and just to ask those questions, I think that's super valuable. And I think also really just trying to take an interest in other people and stay in their lives to some extent. Like for example, even just in my co-working space that I'm in a few days a week, it's a lovely space. There's lots of kind of one person businesses, and it's very open. Everyone's very friendly, and there's a lot of community in there, and we do a lot of social things together, and it's really great. And anytime anyone joins, I always try and make an effort to get to know them, understand what they do, what their challenges are in their business, and what sort of world they work in. And a lot of the time, people work in industries that they would never really work with us or whatever, and that's fine. But I think also being in people's head when one of their friends, there might be a dinner party, says, "Oh yeah, I'm launching a new company and I need to find a website agency or something," then they go, "Oh, I might know someone." And it's just all of that. It's just being a good person, taking an interest in people, and understanding them, and just enjoying one of the best things we do as humans, which is connecting with other humans.
Love it. So you've been very consistent with the strategy since you started. When it comes to networking, seems to be the winner here. The more
Mhm.
consistent, reliable way of growing a business. Just
Mhm.
because I feel like word of mouth is the best marketing that there is in the end, right? And it's free,
Yeah, and
almost
also
free.
yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's good. And yeah, and I think I mentioned earlier, we are looking at doing some more sort of automation around email outreach and things like that for local businesses because that is how you can scale that.
Hmm.
We do a little bit of outreach at the moment, but yeah, I think doing that at scale is a way to kind of have another consistent stream of potential new business. So that's an interesting world, but there's also a lot of noise and there's a lot of that going on now. I don't know about you, maybe you've seen this too, but in the last, I would say, the last sort of 6 to 9 months, my inbox is now every day I'm getting at least like 3 or 4 cold emails about some sort of AI service or something that someone's providing. There's a lot of
That's
that.
true. That's true. And sometimes I wonder because you look at the emails and you're like, how is this landing in my inbox?
Mm,
Like, how is Google not able, in this case, it's Gmail, right? Not able to detect this as a spam? Yeah, it's becoming a regular thing. I would say more than before, like you mentioned, despite having more tools thanks to AI that can help us do the work, these people still push hard on this email outreach. I mean, I heard that email marketing outreach, sorry, because I've got my window here. Email outreach can be really, really profitable, especially if you know how to land on the inbox. Because you and I might not be interested, but hey, if it's a good offer, I've replied to some, right? I must admit, some of them were really appealing. When there is a good offer, a no-brainer offer, something that I really need, and in my case would be like getting clients or expanding your SaaS tools, whatever. I mean, it's just another marketing tool tactic, but it's true that we get to receive a lot of spam, and somehow, yeah, in the past few months, it's been like more than ever. Interestingly, yeah,
Yeah, I think it seems like people are now like the AI and the automation technology combined is maturing and more people are picking it up, more people are using it and providing these outreach services
yeah,
for sure
exactly.
for people. Yeah, it seems to be the way.
Amazing. John, before we finish, what tip would you give to someone who is starting a business? What would be your best tip? What would you tell yourself 6, 7 years ago when you started, based on everything that you've learned so far? I
It's
think
a
I know
good question.
the answer.
Well, there's certainly what I said is be a good person, be
That's my
nice to work
takeaway.
with,
That's my
and
takeaway.
and do good work and care about your work. I think, but genuinely, and I tell my team, I said, I think 80% of succeeding in a role or succeeding at the work we do is about attitude, and it's about how you approach your work, how you work with other people. And one of our kind of core values, and I would actually say another piece of advice I would say is know what your values are as a business and stick to them. Like know what you really care about and keep that at your core of everything you do. Because I think as long as for us, it's a lot of it's about staying curious, wondering, okay, like what's next or what's happening now in the industry or what's happening now on the internet or we've been working on this for a client and doing it in this way. How about what would it look like if we did it this different way? Could that be transformative or could it fail? And being open to things not working, because that's the other thing. We have a very skilled team with a lot of experience, and I've worked with other teams that are the same, but people can draw on their experience to have opinions about how things should be done and have a best practices. And sure, I think you should agree what best practices are. However, actually, it doesn't matter what anyone's opinion is when it comes to digital marketing. What matters is what actually works. So you got to go the startup way, build stuff, measure the results, learn from them, and then go again. And you've got to complete that feedback loop, and you just got to keep trying and being ready to fail as well.
I'm taking notes of this because I mean I wanna I'm highlighting all the great things you said, which are many, just so that we can obviously highlight it in the video. So amazing. Do you want to say anything to your people that are listening to this video podcast? Do you want to share anything more about Jolt, which, by the way, I realized that's your name and surname uh, together? Anything that you would like to share in terms of how the company is progressing, what additional services you might be bringing, what can you offer to them?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Eduardo. I think it's been a pleasure to meet you and to be on for sure. And obviously, everyone should continue listening to the rest of the podcast because I'm sure there'll be much more interesting people than me, and Eduardo will
Oh,
do a great job getting insights out of them. But
I reject that. There is no, everyone is equally interesting, and it's been amazing to have you, obviously. It's everyone, you guys, all of you have brought really interesting diverse ideas, which is exactly what I was hoping to get with this video podcast. Just for
I
people to get,
appreciate it.
motivated, inspired to learn, and hopefully you guys be also, get a bit more of exposure that sometimes you lack.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that journey. It's always good to try and motivate and inspire people. But yeah, I mean, from a Jolt perspective, just super quickly, we recently kind of beefed up our creative aspect of what we're doing, what we're offering, and we really noticed that with the changes that are going on in the industry with AI and on the internet and how everything's going, I think it's become more and more about positioning and really having strong creative and showcasing your product or your service in the best way possible is super important. So we have much bigger focus on our creative aspects. So that's production, graphic design, web design, etc. All of that. So that for sure. And we're also, we are working more and more with AI and how we integrate that with clients' services and their marketing and that sort of thing. For sure, we can help with that. And then also the other thing that I think a lot of people are missing, and this is also important for SEO, is accessibility and really considering, a lot of people have a website and they don't even realize that their website is a horrible experience for anyone who, has vision impairment or something like that. So it's really important to try and make sure the website is accessible and it's as user friendly for all types of users as possible. Yeah, for sure. So those are the things that are kind of in the works, and we're also maybe working on our own little video series. So stay tuned. We'll see how
Love
that
it.
goes.
Amazing. I hope to see that really soon. Well, thank you so much, John. It's been a pleasure to have you here again. There will be more opportunities for you to come over and tell us, how things are evolving and how you guys are using marketing to grow the business. But for now, I really want to thank you, and I hope you had a good time.
Thank you, Eduardo. It's been a real pleasure, and yeah, as I said, I love what you're doing. This is the type of content I love as well. I used to listen to lots of business podcasts and things like that, some of the big names out there, and so yeah, it's always good to get some new perspectives. So thanks very much for letting me be a part of it, and yeah, I hope everyone enjoys something from this.
Love it. Thank you. My pleasure. Bye bye.
All right, thanks. Bye.